Good morning. We are glad to welcome you at RNUG, the first workshop, the first lecture. We are on time and we start on time. We start our workshop dedicated to the product CYONE monitoring. And my name is Vladislav Tatarincev and my colleague is Stanislav. He will help me. Hello, one more time. A couple of information about us. We, with Vladislav, work with Domino since '88 for me. So 89, it was still started in last century with this great product. And Stanislav has been working with it approximately the same time. We know each other for a long time. We worked together for a long time and we developed together the product that has the name CYONE monitoring. We already told a lot about it. And today we will tell you how you can use monitoring to monitor something like some business process, not only for Domino platform. And about our today's agenda. You can see it on our RNUG website in Russian and in English version. Our workshop today is dedicated to monitoring. After that, we will have the workshop for the modernization from team technology. And after that, we will have a practical session from Panagenda company, how you can use Nodes clients to deploy the Nodes clients. It's very urgent because many clients change to 10, 11th, and soon even 12th Domino. And at the end of the day, we will have HSL node workshop from HSL company. And we will find out how you can make the settings with this product. How can you create some applications with mouse click with minimum amount of programming or even without any programming. And about the CYONE product, about the monitor. We have been working on it more than 5 years and developing more than 5 years. We will today tell you how it's easy to deploy it and some recipes how to use it. We will have a separate session about the functionality, more about monitoring of travelers, same-time connections and other components. But today we will mainly talk about how we can use it for monitoring of bases, because the base, what the Domino is used for. Platform, it's good, but the most important part is, of course, the document control, SRM, and other solutions on Domino base. So please, also visit us on Tuesday, and we will tell you what monitoring can do, nearly everything. And we will also share this information with you. And every time we show this picture, this slide, but we always change the metrics because they change with all new version. At present, monitoring is delivered with a set of some rules. These rules check the health of Domino and of its different components. Now it's 850 checks, 24 hours, 7 days a week. We'll check the health state of Domino, some bases, some security checks, and you can deploy this solution in less than 10 minutes. If you are interested, you can visit our website, CYONE, or our English version, and you can read about the solution in Russian or English language. About the architecture itself, because it's important to understand how the product was built. So you know the basic, you understand how it functions, how it works. So this is a ready server, the appliance on Zadex. You use Zadex as hydro monitoring, and we did it in Micronodes client so it can do can execute some commands, and it works as node clients, just as node clients. It will be connected to the server, and we'll execute some commands, we'll gather some statistics, and all this knowledge will depict it in a very beautiful dashboards for notifications. Import of the machine. As I said, the machine, the monitoring itself will be delivered as a ready machine, ready product. And import will take like from 5 to 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. So respectively, it's very easy. We support all virtualization, Hyper-V, VMware, most common virtualization. And when we import the machine, we need the setup. We just need 2-3 steps for the setup. And when you execute just some simple steps, when you download the ID file, because the monitoring, as I said before, it's a small nodes client tuned for the monitoring task. And license file monitoring is by default is delivered as a free of cost version. You can monitor some system databases, emails, but we also have some extended commercial version, paid version, where you have more functions. You can correct some troubles, and registration of the host. For that, you also need to fill one registration form. We will register this host and you will have some role. It's very easy, simple. Once you have monitored, imported the monitoring, we will connect to web console, CYONE ID. We will copy there and make the upload of the ID file that is needed for monitoring to work. LD sensor is a license if you need it. And then we just register the host that we want to monitor. The registration is very easy. We have the domino server, we have the host, we just overwrite this field and we will assign some role. And depending on this role, monitoring will check more or less metrics according to a certain task. We will monitor the sim time, connections, traveler, cluster administrative server, all that depending on the task, on the role. Then you will execute more or less rules. You can also extend the monitoring. If you are a service host provider, if you have provided some domino hosting services, one machine can then also monitor several environments. Or if you are as a business partner, you help your customers to work with domino, and monitoring can switch between ID files and will support the certified servers. And so respectively, you also have this functionality. You can also integrate monitoring with other monitoring systems, because the customers often ask us, we already got some monitoring system. What for should we deploy one more monitoring? It will just be specific domino module, and your monitoring system can use CYONE for some statistics for domino. It will be centralized monitoring of your company. Today, I would like to tell you about some additional resources, add-ons. So by means of these resources, you can extend the functionality of CYONE. So you can do the monitoring of the databases, and we can share with you the information how to do that. In monitoring, we have one page, CYONE, for those who already use it. And there are some links to some documents. And there are two more resources, Formula Wizard and Domino Statistics Modifier. I will also tell about these two resources, because by means of these two components, we can monitor the base. So Formula Wizard, this is our assistance guide through the formulas. This is some database, and you can use it to create some add formulas. Then you can copy them to monitoring, and monitoring will execute it. And I will now give you some samples how to use this function. So today's webinar, today's workshop, will deal with some recipes, how you can use different scenarios in Domino and how you can find a solution by means of monitoring for them. One of the targets, one of our goals was, because we are Domino administrators ourselves, and we looked for some solution, and we were successful. So we wanted that administrators could have easy work. Monitoring supports the add formulas execution. They are very popular. Nearly all administrators, all the programmers start their programming in Domino with add formulas. And how does this add formula wizard works? So we create a new formula, just a document. Then we select some view that is the closest for us, to us. What we need. For example, here I want to find out which users or which customers, my users or customers user have the ID files that are connected to the account. We know it's bad, it's not safe. Then we just select people by view. This is the default view. Then we'll copy the formula. Then we start to extend this formula. And once we reach the required result, we have try button, and we can double check that this formula works correctly, that it will identify the person that have some idea attached to the account. And then we will copy this formula one-to-one to the monitoring, and monitoring can just execute it, implement it. Of course, to check ID file or no of the user, we were not gonna do it every 5 minutes. It's enough to do it once a day or every 5 hours. But as soon as somebody makes a mistake and we have such incident, monitoring will notify us immediately. The philosophy of monitoring is that each problem will be investigated only one time. Once we identified one user or some unexperienced administrator who shared this account, distributed this ID file account, and we want then to avoid this problem, so we never have it again. So we start to create the rules, and monitoring will execute these rules, and it will notify us about it. So we will not have some huge checklist with 500 positions that we need to implement every morning because it's boring. We always say that a person should think and a machine should work, and not on the opposite. Because if we just run through the whole checklist and check different bases and check if everything is working fine, then we will not, one working day will not be enough to do all that task. So once the formula is ready, we just copy it. And this micronotes client has the description with the formulas and with the functions that are supported, what is supported. And LD sensor, this is a node client, can measure the time of the database opening. So if you have some substantial important base, we can make a curve, time curve. So it will open like in 200 milliseconds time. If something is slow, then we will see that this is some delay because somebody started some heavy agent or contact during the day, and it reflected on the speed. So the time for the opening of the base is now increased. Or on the contrary, we can also face a situation that everything is fine, no transactions in Domino, everything's working fine, but for some reason the base is now slower to open. But on the neighboring curve, we will see that the network started to have some delays in a fraction of seconds. Of course, you need to get used to monitoring. Normally it takes 1-2 weeks, but to locate the problem, you can do it after that just in 10 seconds time. So we will understand what is the problem, because to analyze all logs, all these bytes, thousands of them, they're running like they're stops in the subway. And to find out what happened there, it's very difficult. So we made this dashboard like in a logical order, and it really helps to identify the problem very quick and where to look for it. One more Sample what you can do. These are the agents. The agents are very important and crucial for us because they execute some scripts. Of course, we're not going to monitor all the agents, but there are some special and very important agents because they export some data into Oracle or make some integration or synchronization. And why can they fail? If the server has wrong setups, then after compact, agents can just fail and fall out of queue. So the server needs information that it's the agent still needs to be put there again, and you can just notify me and to say me about the parameters. And for example, one administrator signed many agents, then he left the company and his account was deleted. Of course, any agent signed by him will not be executed anymore, and it's very difficult to identify it. Somebody can just put a mark not to execute this agent for temporary, and then he will not put this mark again. In monitoring, we also have the dashboards that will identify the problem. For example, here we can see that we don't have any unsuccessful failed agents, but instead, we have some other agent as an I. They try to start, but they do something that is not allowed. For example, they can contact the operational system, and then you can understand what happened. I can check the log, current log or VDM, and check, for example, at 15 hours, 3 minutes, I can check which agent started in which base, and then I will find quick solution. So with all customers, we make these cleaning actions in monitoring. So we try to clean it. So we have the ideal scenario, ideal situation, like starting point, that our agents don't fail, everything starts, and when everything fails, for example, if something fails, then administrator can just restore this account quick. How can you monitor the agent? There are some options for that. An ideal scenario is that you use, for example, create some logs. When you start these agents, you create a document.
So the statue will be starting. When the agent finishes his works, he will write there that complete is successfully and add a code so there will be no errors and will finish his work. If the agent finishes his work with an error, so we mark it as failed, and these documents have to be monitored, and we can notice the agents which failed, and also if the agent was switched off, we will also see it because we do everything right, and we will monitor not only the mistakes and errors, but also every 10 minutes or every day, we will expect to see documents with the statue successful. As soon as we don't get them, it means that somebody switched it off. So make sure that the agent is on. And it's very often that in all the companies, you have very experienced administrators and non-experienced. So actually, such a monitoring will ease the work of experienced administrators, and they will have more time for some more complicated tasks. and even young specialists could easily find the problem. Usually, the transferring of experience is a very long and complicated process, but with this monitoring, we can make it much easier. So we can monitor agents and we can monitor tasks. We can create our statistics. For example, how many documents we exported. I will talk about it later on. Recently, one of our big clients asked us, how can we know that one of our bases was corrupted or one of the administrators switch on full access administration and so on, or there is no enough space at the database. So you can monitor it in 3-4 minutes. For example, you can create in events for base an event, and as soon as somebody will turn on full access administration, you will get a notification. It will reach the base. There will be a united database for different cases. So we can sort events by different folders. Yeah, so all the events will reach its own folder. Then we create some rules. Here you can see an example with the administrative process. Here you can write the number, the name of the view, or the name of the folder from where you can get, you want to get some documents. You can get documents for the whole period or for today. And if we have P3 errors at the server, you will get notifications in the monitoring. We can even make like this. If we have only one error within an hour, we will get a notification. If there are too many errors within an hour or more, so then we can already send special notifications. And when we created such metrics, we can see tables which show the statistics. For example, we monitor our support, how many applications we have. Stanislav is interested in programming of controllers. For example, in our office, we have bottles of water, and when we don't have enough bottles, when they're over, we get a notification and we order more water for the office. And we can collect statistics. We can get a trigger for the statistics if we are out of limits. For the conference, we were monitoring how many users we have, how many speakers we have, because it's not very easy to go and check every time how many users you have. We do a predictive administration. Actually, when something happens, I go and check. If there are no any events, So I don't have to waste my time and go and check. I see the events as soon as they happen. And another example, so in the connection, there were not all the users shown. The thing is that in the domino directory are all the numbers, including very long numbers. The user is not imported into the canal. So we made a formula. For example, you can see people by category, and then you can see view formula and custom formula. If the number is more than 32, has more than 32 digits, so we will get a notice about it and we will fix this. If we get notifications about some errors within 2-3 months, it makes no sense, but we get all the information very fast. And we can see here different users, and you can see an example here. If somebody changes the policy, we will have here also notification that somebody changed the policy. You can have such a situation, you have a wonderful evening, you want to go somewhere, but then your clients start calling you and they say that nothing is working and everything is broken. And you ask, what did you do? And they say nothing. But if we monitor, we use the monitoring, we can see exactly what the users did. If something was changed, some server documents and so on. And we'll find the decision very quickly. We will go to the server documents and see what exactly the problem is. Another example is we call inactive users. How can you find inactive users? I made also a special formula for it. So can you show, I've been asked, can you show all the users which didn't use it for a year? It's very important to find inactive users because probably a person left already but still have access to the company sources. So we can find users who didn't change for a long time HTTP codes, passwords, and it's important to know for the security. And we solve the problem. If you can break the password, unfortunately, still one of the versions passwords were rather easy. So for example, I do remember some of the passwords for the last year. I can say, oh, this password will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And we can not only change the password, also it will lead us to the thought that probably there is not enough policy of safety. Another thing, when the same time was introduced, you know that now there is the 11th version of the same time premium. When the same time was introduced about 5 years ago, it was very difficult to add photos, and some users were adding BMP files, and sometimes it was about a megabyte. Can you imagine if you have 10,000 people and everybody will add a photo which weighs a megabyte? So you can imagine how slowly the program will work. It will be very difficult to work like this. If you add a small formula, you can see it here. The program will show you all the files which weigh, for example, more than 1 megabyte and so on. Server ID are often related to the service, which is not safe. So we can make the domino more functional. If somebody breaks something in domino, we immediately find out about it. If the company, for example, migrated from a different system to domino, most probably all the users were created at the same day. So it means that the certificate of all the users will be over in on the same day. So do not meet this bad day. The monitoring helps us to see and check the information and find out that very soon all the users' logins will expire. So we try to do everything with no stress. We try to plan everything, because if you plan something, you will think 3 times and you'll find the best solution. One more important thing for the monitoring is related with the custom statistics. You have huge number of databases. We, together with the monitoring, have a base which is called States Updater. The idea is that it has a front end. We can make a small document and make our own custom statistics. For example, you're importing something from the client alpha to Oracle, and then create already sub-statistics. How many users we have, how many we missed, and these statistics will be taken by the monitoring. You can make it in numeric values, or we can add text, like you can add 5 more to the previous data. Or for example, today we have 5 new clients and we can add them. This enhances a lot the monitoring for business. I feel more comfortable when I can set the monitoring in order to control all the critical situations, and I can work with no worries peacefully. If I do it manually for a month or more, later on, I will think that everything's fine. Maybe the system will work perfectly always, but most probably the day when I do not check it, there will be a problem. It's about manually monitoring. And we have also some upgrades. My colleague, Mr. Golubov, will talk about second factor identification. He made a special upgrade for this base, and we can create such a statistics. You can see to the right, not in 10 lines, but we can just use one line code. We add the library, and then we can create the statistics just using one code line. It helps a lot. There is also a possibility to correct all the errors automatically. DAOs is the system of duplication. For example, if at night somebody installed the program and then it desynchronized, and it means that all the files will not have the copies, and there will be more load, and we will find out about it only in the morning. And of course, we will not do it during the next day. We will plan it for the weekends, but the program will slow down. We will move this task, this problem to solve till the next day or next weekend. But with this auto fix, you can do it just in the morning. The same morning you find out about the problem. So we can make any process automatically. For example, somebody switched off the router, and then you can fix that it has, the problem has to be solved is if the router does not work from 2 p.m. If it doesn't work for several hours, then it will be automatically switched on. So the idea is to solve a problem once. We copy the problem to the monitoring, and the system works by itself, and we do our more creative job. We can see all the webinars and sessions of this conference, RNUG, because the conference is very interesting. We have here a lot of international specialists, world champions, and the monitoring will do our routine work. And we better do upgrades, we do something creative. And we will not make any damage to our health, to our eyes. If you check something, in the best case, you will check it again the next day. And here, some of the things can be checked every 30 seconds.
For example, you can use this ID attach file also. And in the rate part, you have the comments section. Should somebody have the questions, please ask the questions. And you have my email address. I guess you know this address, Vlad with 2A, Simon Ru. And should you have any questions, just ask these questions. Don't be shy. We will answer all the questions. And if you now want to test monitoring, we are always available and we can assist you. It doesn't cost anything. You will just download the monitoring. As I said before, you just need 5, 10, 15 minutes to start is because there's already appliance that we just import. We copy an ID file there, we register the host. It's very easy. There are so many checks to save you from the situations and the ports are closed, that you entered something incorrectly. There are so many checks so everything functions immediately and goes well. So if you want to check monitoring, if you want just test it, just fill in the feedback form and we will come back to you. Then we will just enjoy the automation, the stress-free work, and then you can attend to our meetings. Please visit us on Tuesday because we will have so many lectures. We often do the audits in our clients and we were confronted with one topic. Unfortunately, not all users like nodes because nodes doesn't always have proper configuration set points. So we will show you which what you should change so your users love nodes. So the customer satisfactions will grow and monitoring will help you for the administration and everybody will be happy. So that's it from my part. If somebody got some questions, we are ready to answer them. If there are no questions, please join next workshop. It will start soon about the modernization and webification of domino bases. This is our partner, Team Technology, and they will tell you how to do that. Thank you for your attention.